Well, gosh darn, guys. My name is Wallace. I am a smelly, smelly vampire dude. So I completed my probation. I am officially, you know, you know, you know how it is. You don't want to brag or anything, but you know, I wouldn't say a free man, but you know, I'm a less of a probation man. That's for sure. But yeah, you know, I am a free man. If I wanted to, I think I could just get up and leave. You know, if I wanted to, just go ahead and do whatever. But anyways, I just got my light. That's what I did. Went to my room to get this light. It's better. Boop. Oh, and I celebrated a little bit. I bought a. I was gonna get a chai tea from this place that is cool to me. Like this, there's this coffee shop that I don't go to often, but I like going there sometimes. You know, I haven't been there about a month or so. It was nice to show up and a couple of ladies working there who recognized me. They were real nice to me, and they didn't have any chai tea, so they tried this different drink. Can't remember it. Started with an M. It wasn't matcha. It was like a I don't know what it was. But my first thought was like, it's kind of sad because you know the drug test or whatever that I used to do, I don't do anymore. Gratefully, you know, I was like, is this gonna? My first thought because I just got done, you know, going to the magistrate office and giving my paperwork. You know, I was like, can I drink this? Is this gonna show up in a drug test? I didn't say that, but that was like my first thought, which is kind of dumb. But anyways, no, I definitely don't want to drink alcohol. That was a pretty terrible experience. Would not recommend doing any kind of drugs because it sucks. Get in trouble. But I thought it was 2 years probation. I guess it was just 9 months. It felt like 2 years. I was reading the paperwork. I was like, it felt like 2 years. But now it's 9 months. I think it was at least. That's what I read. Yeah, I'm kind of tired, kind of stressed out. You know, it was raining too. Fortunately, it wasn't a thunderstorm. Thank God. But it was like being in Colorado. The cold rain, the sleet. And then I went to the library. I had to finish an alcohol class there because I get good reception there. And it was just like, oh my god! I'm like, I usually don't. Sometimes I actually do listen to the speakers, and I was critiquing myself. I'm like, do I sound like one of them? It's terrible to say that in many different ways. I don't like saying that, but specifically, I'm talking about an alcoholic. A person who has drank a lot. You know, like, do I sound like that? Do I sound like a? And I was like, nah, I think I'm good. Just a crazy person. I ain't crazy. Just a tired old man. vampire. But it is still daytime. It's late afternoon. I wish it was nighttime so I could be a little bit more energized. But yeah, the whole probation thing, it's a punishment. Punishment's not supposed to be enjoyable. It's supposed to be terrible, and it was terrible. I mean, the people are nice. Don't get me wrong. The people I came in contact with being on probation, they're nice, but a lot of you ever heard the expression sly, SLY, sly? People who are sly. It's like you could tell that the whole environment's just like people who are sly, and I don't really like that. I know. I've had experience, talking to people who I know there's plenty of ladies who appreciate, men who are intellectual and who have experience and who are, you know, make flirtation or whatever or speaking a little sly. I mean, you can make, for instance, you could be a little creative, right? But to me, it's like, ain't no need for that. And after a while, especially, I'm like, I don't like feeling like this. I just want to say, how do you do? How are you doing? You doing good? And they're like, yeah, doing good. How are you? I'm good. How was your day today? That just simple. No need for any kind of extra awareness. You know, I'm pretty obvious with who I am, and obviously I'm not going around. Hey, would you like to, blah 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 blah. I'm like, nah, I'm not doing any of that crap. Even though there's some people who would like me to do that. Like, hey, let's be friends, la 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 la. But I'm like, I'm just too tired. Just too gosh darn tired. But that drink I drank, that was pretty good. That chai tea substitute that started with an M that I don't remember. I don't know the name of it. It's pretty good. It tasted like tea leaves, kind of a different type of tea leaf. Thinking about things like I just completed something, right? It takes a little time for it to register. But, I just got rid of something that was stressing me out. The whole thing. And when I turned in my paperwork to the magistrate office, the lady there was, she said, "Oh, I guess you're done." I said, "Yeah, I hope so. I hope so. That's why I'm here." She's like, "Yeah, looks like you're all done." I'm like, "All right," and that's it. And I don't know. Today was pretty rough, but I'm a pretty tough guy. I would say so. Just want to take it easy. I think tonight I'm just gonna take it easy. I got to go to work for a meeting. Speaking of meetings, that's one thing I miss working in the office environment. Meetings, freaking meetings are the best. I was basically the same person, but younger and more dumb. But meetings, I'd be like, "Yeah, you guys, woo! You guys were having a meeting. Look at everybody. How y'all been? They're like, Wally's, what the hell are you doing? Sit down. And they're like, Wally, are you trying to kiss ass right now? Why are you standing next to the gosh darn man in charge? Why are you standing next to that guy? Why is that guy? That guy don't even like you, Wally. We all know that. But you're working extra hard. You just seem to get along with him like y'all are the same type of creature. Both of y'all are full of yourselves. Wally, how about you sit down, you crazy? I was like, whoa! Y'all were in an office and we're in a meeting. Let's do this. Woo! Like, Wally, you've got serious problems. I'm scared. There's a whiteboard. Y'all, look at this. You ever seen one of these before? Like, Wally, you've never even, you have, in this chronological story, you haven't visited the South before. You don't even have an accent or anything like that. Why are you speaking in a weird Southern accent? I said, don't matter. We're going back in time, going backward, going forward. Ski la li la li la. We're just going to do it. Welcome to the meeting, y'all. This is the boss. This is the boss man. The boss man. Now I'm being inappropriate. Anyways, oh, I'm listening to music right now. I'm listening to the same song on repeat. It's a song called Sink the Bismarck. It's like an old military, I don't want to say a war chant, but it's like a melody. I don't know how to call what they call them. Not a jody. I know that's a term, but it's just a song about uh, like a historical event. You know, the singer's talking from like he was there. And makes me think. I like listening to a song because it gets me thinking, kind of like in a military. Well, just slightly, not too much. I was in the military just for a little bit, so makes me kind of remember a little bit that kind of mentality versus whatever else I'm feeling. Makes me a little happier. Yeah, right now I really don't give a damn about anything. Tell you the truth, not thinking about anything, trying to relax. Maybe I'm thinking about a few ladies in particular that I I've seen today. Just recent memory. But besides that, mostly just regret, feelings of regret. I'm like, no, I'm just trying to, just saying hello, just ordering a drink, just doing this, just doing that. This ain't no thing. Makes me feel terrible. I'm already feeling terrible, and I know you. I don't want to make other people feel bad. Like nobody likes that. I don't like that. Just let me suffer. Let me suffer alone. I'm a tough guy. I'll be better next time. Next time around. No need for extra stuff. But I know that's how you build relationships and communication. I don't necessarily see myself. Like I said, I'm not going around. Hey, you want to be my friend? I'm not doing that crap. But I can kind of think to myself and be like, yeah, well, maybe next time I might say, thank you. Thanks for helping me out a little extra the other day. I was having a bad day. Appreciate you. You know, maybe be able to have a conversation going. You know, but then, but like I know some of these ladies really like me. In particular, and I'm like, well, I don't want to like be misleading. I don't like misleading people. I know I've misled so many people. I know I'm guilty of that. I'll admit that I'm guilty of. It's not easy, particularly a lot of these individuals know about my popularity. And I'm not saying, some of these ladies, they're intelligent, they're nice, you know. But to me, I'm like, I'm still kind of stuck in the mud, so to speak. I'm not really. I don't think very much of myself in that regard. And I know that don't really matter. For some people, people love people, and I don't know. I can still be a friend, supportive, kind, funny, whatever. But it sounds terrible. But the thing is that when I say I ain't got time for, I really don't. I really don't. And it ain't, it's just me being selfish. That's all it is. I'm just tired. You know. And part of me, like, this is where my think. You ever hear the expression "stinking thinking"? My stinking thinking says, like, there's there's better guys out there. Maybe not a lot of vampires who are as cool as I am, but you know, there's other nice people out there. People. I don't know. Maybe there's something wrong with me. Probably. I'll admit that. Several things holding me back, but I'm the kind of person who likes to take things really, really friggin' slow. And I can, anybody who knows me can attest to that. They can speak to that. Me, I'm a slow guy. Slow guy. Slow, 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 slow. When it comes to anything, really, to tell you the truth. When I get going, right? Like a high performance, whatever. When I get going, but besides that, nah, slow to start, real slow to start. And I think that's a good thing. I think it's a good thing in being an adult, being mature. I wasn't that way when I was younger. Now I am. So must be the right thing because my body says, ain't nothing wrong with that. Be a slow start. But yeah, let's see what time it is. It's 2:56. It's a good time. Good time as any. I should probably head out because I gotta be there and like at that meeting at 4 o'clock. So it's gonna take me like 20-30 minutes to get there. I'm gonna go slow on my bicycle. Ain't feel like I'm in the mood where I don't feel like doing fast. You should have seen me on my friggin' bicycle in the sleet and the ice, and all the drivers are like, "Ooh," how drivers get in the snow or in the weather conditions. People, oh, that's the perfect rendition of drivers when it starts getting bad. Weather starts getting, they go, oh, they even make that noise. I look over and there's, oh, I say, I know, buddy, I know, but it's gonna be all right. Just don't run me over, please. And they're going, oh. Not sure if they're upset. Not sure what that noise means exactly. Can mean many things, and it probably does to different drivers. But I see that. I see this, and I see their mouth slightly open because I could just hear. Not know. So yeah, it was stressful. I'm going pretty quick too for no reason other than not wanting to be out in the weather condition. I was, you know, done with everything I had to get done. I was stopped at a stoplight, still kind of downtown area where it's kind of, I'm not going to talk bad about the downtown area. It's a whole culture, right? I call it downtown like it's, oh, downtown. It ain't downtown. I just call it that the part. I have no, it's whatever. I've just been there, that whole place because of my probation or whatever. Anyways, I'm parked at, not parked, but I'm stopped at a traffic light. And out comes this gentleman, a young buck with his shirt off, walking like I do sometimes, And he's walking. He sees me. I got my goofy hat on backwards, and I'm just I'm not doing anything. I'm not. I'm the opposite of intimidating, right? I've got probably the most intimidating things. I got a beard, you know, and I'm there. I got my hat. And he looks at me. As soon as he sees me, he starts beelining towards me, like going right straight towards me. He's walking across the street, and he's got his shirt off, and he's walking like this. I'm like, I'm like, he like goes right behind me, kind of like in a weird, let's be honest here. If you start walking towards someone and circling them, and you go behind them to make them feel uncomfortable, that's never good, right? Like you don't want that in any scenario, right? Because you could, you know. And in my mind, I'm like, well, this guy could get me in a chokehold if he wanted to right now, but I'm on a bicycle, but he's pretty big. He's still a pretty big young guy. I'm like, well, that don't really make any sense in reality. Why I'm over here, minding my own business, not doing nothing. But in my mind, I'm like, still cross my mind. It's kind of sad, but also it's probably a good thing that I'm thinking. I'm not just like, oh, nothing bad could ever happen to me. But in reality, but no, he was good. But he was just being a young guy. Like, just kind of felt bad for him. I'm like, I know how that is. I know, like, that's sometimes people of that age, of that, disposition, if you will, that mood, they want to prove themselves. They're like, I need to change. I need to grow up. I need to adapt. And, sometimes people make bad decisions. Look at that guy over there with that hat. Screw that guy. What is he on a bicycle? Got a beard? I don't know about that guy. I don't like that guy. Anyways, just want to talk about it because, sometimes when I get scared, I do get scared. Let's be honest here. I get scared. Maybe not the same kind of scared that most other people fear or feel. It's like fear. It's like a awareness, and you know, people do some crazy shit sometimes. But just gotta try to be safe. You know, but I think a healthy amount of awareness and fear is good. Be safe. I've seen some shit and it makes me want to, avoid back roads and avoid certain situations because I ain't got time for that. I don't want to get hurt. I don't want to prove myself. What am I going to prove? That I'm a chicken? Do I want to prove I'm slow? I'm slow at running away because I got a broken leg. I ain't got time for that. I'm too scared. Don't need to be that kind of person. The only reason why I'm tough is to be able to survive weather conditions and emotional turmoil from the ladies. That's about it. That's basically the only reasons why I'm tough. Anyways, I gotta get going, y'all. Appreciate y'all for watching. Let me, you know, get some things off my chest, light my load, keep going. Clearly, I don't really need it. It's kind of like a being back in my apartment right now at midday. It's kind of like a pit stop. It's like I'm like a race car. Speaking of race cars, I do not like it. Okay, clearly, whatever. Who cares about what I like? But when a nice lady says, "Hey, Mister Car, Mister Car, Mister Car, Mister Car," and several ladies are saying, "Mister Car, Mister Car," I feel like I'm 80 years old, and I'm sure I'm not the. I know I'm just like every other gentleman of a certain, above a certain age feels that way, and I'm like, hey, you ought to call me Mister Carr, and I should probably say that, but I'm such a rascal, and I like that it bothers me because I don't know, I'm weird. It bothers me, but I kind of like it. Mister Carr, Mister Carr, Mister Carr, Mister Carr. Yeah. By the way, my last name is Carr. I don't think I've ever said that. This video series. Anywho, I'm gonna get my silly self a rolling. Go to that meeting. I should dress up a little bit, honestly, just for the expressions shits and giggles. For shits and giggles, I should put on a nice shirt. Might do that. For shits and giggles. Speaking of nice shirts, there's a party on Friday. There's a work party on Friday. I think I'm invited to. couple a couple nice ladies, waitresses were talking about it, and making in a way, inadvertently, letting me become aware of. I knew the party was happening. Right, my phone's about to die. All right, I'm gonna go, y'all. Y'all, hold on. I want to talk about this. I gotta charge my phone anyways because it ain't gonna upload the video if I don't do this right. Hold on. All right. So inadvertently, I knew there's a party happening. Christmas party, right? Who doesn't like Christmas parties? I might be one of the most social vampires I've ever met. 'Cause most vampires I've met are total. At least the ones that I believe and that 95% certainty, and some 100% certainty. But they're all blah, 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 and I get that way sometimes. But here's the thing: I enjoy myself a good party. I do. Let me say this too. Let me be a little talk about. I don't feel bad about this. I'm talking only about myself, so this is okay. I think it's all right. It's correct. But I'm Spanish, all right, and I like to dance. I like to socialize. I'm not saying it's just me. The Spanish part of me says, "Oh, how nice, how nice, a little party, little party." Will there be hors d'oeuvres? That has nothing to do with being Spanish. I'm being an idiot. Please, like, I'm being a complete idiot. But I like to say and think that the Spaniard inside of me says, "Oh, a party, a fancy party," which it could be said a fancy part. I've been to fancy parties before. I've had hors d'oeuvres before. I've been to fancy restaurants. I'm not saying but here's the thing: I'm not saying anything. I'm not. I'm being an idiot. But if I want to think that this be a little bit of a to feel and imagine and amplify in my mind, in my imagination, the fanciness of a gathering of a part that I would say is a party. If I want to experience that in my mind, then that is my choice. Be a little fancy party. Sounds weird. It is weird, but not too weird. Anyways, y'all, I gotta get going. I'm just being dumb, tired. Anyways, appreciate y'all for watching, and I'm a little cranky right now. I just realized that. A little grumpy, a little cranky. But I'll probably still wear a nice shirt to this meeting. All right, y'all. Have a good one. Bye.